All right, good afternoon. So last time we were talking about mass extinctions. We realized that they occur during any period of climate change, which could mean it's getting warmer, or it could mean that the climate was getting cooler, but that is a problem, and that triggered these mass extinctions 5 different times in the past. And then we thought maybe that could happen again, and it might affect the polar bears. And then maybe it could affect other species too, and perhaps humans. So, how do we know if another mass extinction is coming or not? So, there is a group, the IUCN, which is the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, and they are in charge of deciding if a species is endangered or threatened or vulnerable. And then they have like 5 criteria to see if a species qualifies to be endangered and maybe on the verge of becoming extinct. So you can see the 5 criteria on this list. This list is also posted in our classroom now. But if the population starts to reduce or get smaller, or maybe their habitat is restricted, or maybe the population starts to decline or it's small to begin with, or restricted in some way, and then they do this like probability analysis, math, to determine the probability of the species going extinct. And then they assign it a number, and then based on the number, it could be considered vulnerable, endangered, or critically endangered. So the most serious one is the red, the medium serious is endangered on the orange, and vulnerable is like kind of starting to become a problem, which is the yellow one. In 1973, the United States government passed a law called the Endangered Species Act. It was a policy to protect endangered and threatened species from that criteria we just saw. And again, it's basically the same 5 things as what the IUCN put out. So again, if it's threatened, if the habitat's maybe getting modified or possibly threatened to be destroyed in some way, or maybe we're overusing the species, we're eating too much of it, hunting too much of it, using too much of it, using it for science, using it for education, and we're depleting it. Maybe it's succumbing to a disease or some kind of predation, predator-prey relationship. Maybe the government's not doing a good job to protect it. Or maybe there's some other threat that's affecting its ability to continue to exist. And all of those things are reasons a species could be put on this Endangered Species Act. Now, the problem with that is it takes a long time to get on this list and to be protected. So sometimes states or even little groups will act to protect a species before it gets the official designation of being endangered. Kind of like the honeybee. It wasn't officially endangered, but people knew it was a problem, so they started trying to protect it before the Endangered Species Act. Okay, so that brings us to today's assignment. You're going to investigate a species that's at risk of extinction, and you're going to answer these 5 things about the species in your notebook. So you're going to choose between the manatee, the saguaro cactus, a coral reef, the American wild dog, California condor, axolotl, the bison, or the seed bank. The seed bank is kind of like a Noah's Ark, and they have one of every seed and they save it so that no plant will ever go extinct truly because they will have the seeds to be able to regrow it. So that's an interesting one in its own right. Okay, so on eCadence, there's a link to read about these endangered species. You're going to pick one and you're going to, again, answer these 5 things. So what's the problem? Why is it endangered? How did it become endangered? What are we doing to protect it? Who's doing that? What are they doing? How's it happening? What was the plan? And then why did they choose that plan? What were the trade-offs they had to make or the constraints? What mechanisms let the plan work? How successful was it? Will the species go extinct or has it been preserved? What's the status of the species now, and give some evidence. And then what other questions are unanswered about this species? So start on Ecadus with the article, but then once you've answered these 5 things, I want you to go out onto the internet and search some more, but make sure you're using trusted sources. So .gov, .edu, maybe some .org sites, and make sure your search terms are good. Remember what makes a good search term. Look for bias. Who's publishing it? How accurate is it? Are they using citations? And you keep track of what you've used. What citations, what website did you use to help answer those questions? Research additional information. Make sure you put in the Google search a good search using good words and not just what's up with my animal, and then add it to what you figured out. And then again, you probably want to pause it right here on the screen and leave these questions up while you get into Ecadus and read your article from today's date, and then go out on the internet and try to find other information to support what you found. And that should take you about 20-25 minutes, and then we'll look at it tomorrow and put it all together. All right, so good luck and get to work.